Showtime. Right, it gives me a really great pleasure to be chairing the session. Okay, and now our next presentation is to be given by Daniela Dlabolová and Čoupková. Okay, the two speakers are both at our institute. Daniela Dlabolová works as a lecturer at the Language Center of Masaryk University. She teaches English for specific purposes at the Faculty of Medicine. She specializes in designing language courses for the students of chemical disciplines. She's interested in project-based learning and simulations. And the other speaker, Eva Čoupková, is an assistant professor at the Language Center of Masaryk University. She teaches academic English and English for specific purposes for mathematics and physics students. She's interested in ESP, collaborative learning, and project-based learning. And the topic of their talk is the design and implementation of tasks students should accomplish to become informed conference participants. Their paper provides a theoretical background, individual activities, goals, and scenarios developed within the framework of the project called Mock Scientific Conference. Let's welcome the presentation.
Good morning, thank you for the introduction. So I'll start. As you heard in the introduction, basically we are going to speak about how we teach presentation skills. So this is something that everybody, all of us do at the language courses at university level, so we'll be happy to share your experience. As you heard in the introduction, we work with the students at the Faculty of Science. And these students, when they start the university, they soon start participating in the work on various research tasks, and they need to be able to present the results of their work in English. So we try in our language courses to tailor our syllabi to this need, and today we are going to share with you two examples of what we do with them. One is the poster presentation, and the other one, the bigger thing, is the mock conference simulation. So, why this choice of conference simulation? Well, we believe it's a very good framework because it covers many activities and tasks that help students become informed conference participants who are able not only to present their work but also to benefit from the presentations of the others, and they can get some idea about the conference procedures. We wanted to do things differently, so how did we achieve our goals? We wanted to provide experience instead of providing instructions, because we felt that we needed more spontaneity and authenticity into our in our classrooms. So we tried to make the learners ask questions about problems and investigate solutions and their answers, and to come up with their original view on these problems. So I think that to some extent this concept resembles the concept of the students' work on their specialist research tasks. So we anticipated our learners to be comfortable to come up with relevant topics to explore, and to be happy to share their expert knowledge and erudition with the group. To a great extent, this work is autonomous, not only in the choice of topics, but also in the way they organize the work, they cooperate in team, and they behave in new situations. So there is some space for practicing transferable skills important for the future careers. To back up our approach with recognized theories, we think that we coincide largely with project-based learning. It's interesting to note that to see that as early as 1916, John Dewey, American scholar and pedagogue, said that setting up conditions which simulate certain visible and tangible ways of acting is the first step, and making the individual a share or partner in the associated activity is the completing step. So similarly, our framework of conference simulation sets up the conditions, and when we motivate the learners to take roles in the task, they become sharers in the associated activity. Today, project-based learning means working for a longer period of time on finding a solution to a given real problem, or becoming prepared to perform an action aimed at fulfilling some real task, as expressed by Parker, Thomas, Blumenfeld. So, our real problem is this mock conference simulation. As this is a complex task, we guide students through several steps or stages. We prepare them for poster presentation, we write with them abstracts and bio notes, prepare presentations, presentation speeches, and also they get engaged in some organizational aspects like making calls for papers and chairing sessions. Maybe here I should add that at the Faculty of Science, the courses are organized in 4 modules. Usually, the bachelor or undergraduate students take module 1 and 2, and later, for a master or graduate students, we have 3 and 4. So, of course, it wouldn't make sense to do the conference simulation in module 1. First, we let students gain some experience with academic English, reading, listening, speaking, writing. And then, in module 2, we do with them the poster presentation, and the whole complex thing, the conference simulation, comes in module 4. So, in module 2, bachelor students, how we do the poster presentation. So here you get some ideas. At this level, students do not have many strategies important for presenting, for doing the poster presentation. So we prepare a couple of mini lessons, for example, how to choose sources, evaluate them, how to structure a team presentation. For that, in the discussion, we use this picture where it can be nicely seen that the first and the last parts have special form, different from the form of the middle points, and all the thing needs to fit together. So this is one example what we talk about. Then we have some mini lesson about engaging in a discussion, not only asking questions, but also expressing agreement or objections. And we have some activities for how to handle questions, how to design a poster. So I'll show you briefly a few examples. So this is a handout that we work with in the topic of handling questions. We take a couple of typical questions and students think about their function, good, difficult, unnecessary, irrelevant, and then there is a suggested advice how to deal with that. So, for example, here it's interesting that sometimes there's a big disagreement in the group with students because they don't think they should say, I don't know. So this is something for discussion. This picture is not very clear. It's the beginning of the video tutorial. So we work with the video where it's a very clear tutorial where they explain how to work with the sources, how to use for the bachelor students. Because sometimes when they fail for some reason to do the work with this tutorial, then their posters miss something. Even the name of the author or the reference section that must be included, and this, of course, impairs the quality of their work. So, it's this video tutorial. Once they know how to design the poster, what information to include, and their posters are ready, we talk about how to present the information. There might be a brief overview of all the information, or there might be just information about specifics. So, we use again another video tutorial where there are 3 examples of attendees, of people who come to listen to the topic on the poster. The first one is really bored because she gets the whole overview of the topic, which is very long. The second one is puzzled because the information jumps here and there and it's not in the context and he has no idea. just the last one is happy because she had a question and got the answer. So this is also another good source to guide students through, a good source of something like a mini lesson or instruction and discussion. The whole project is stretched over one semester, that is 13 weeks. So this is how it goes on. First, we set up teams. We had teams of 3 people, and they negotiate on the topic. This takes some time because sometimes students change their first ideas. Then they evaluate the sources, try to come up with some questions to research. Once they are in this phase, they write a report on the subject electronic forum so that it is available for the other. They can see what their peers are doing, and it's good for the teacher who is able to monitor the progress. Then the last phase is providing answers, researching and summarizing the information, evaluating the answers. Now the outcome is the poster. The posters are collected in the electronic form, and they are made accessible for the students. And the last session in the semester is a poster presentation. So it can be done in class or as an online meeting. We had both of these, so it can be adapted to the current need. And in case of the online meeting, the students checked or looked at the posters before joining the meeting, and the meeting was used for conversation about the specific things. The students also get written and oral feedback from the teacher, and they had opportunity to reflect on their work and to say what they learned from that. So, some quotations, what the students said. One of them said, I made the poster first time. I didn't know such a thing existed. Another one said, I didn't believe we could cooperate online, but it worked. Just yet another opinion was, I learned how to present my work online. And one more said that the student liked the work and the topics of the others. So it was quite good to see that they think they learned something. This is one example in the end, so what the posters look like. Just to have the overall idea, you see that they try to make it attractive by using colors. Very colorful. The poster has the important parts, pictures, graphs, reference section, and all these small bits of descriptions of the topics. These students also added one extra thing for each section. They included an audio record so that their classmates could benefit from that more. They used PowerPoint audio record function. So that was how we did the poster presentation, and now I'd like to hand over to Eva, who will introduce the conference simulation.
Okay. So, thank you, Daniela. So let's move on to conference simulations. Once the students have mastered presentation techniques and try to create a poster presentation, they are ready for a more complex project in which they could integrate all the practice skills. We do conference simulations at the postgraduate or master level, because at that stage the students are mature learners and can build on their undergraduate experience. They also have a sufficient command of English and expertise in their fields. Again, it's a whole term project. First, we brainstorm what conference skills are, what it means, what it comprises. The students usually come up with the idea of a paper or poster presentation, but we try to make them think about it in a more complex way. It means consider different roles they may take up. The students contemplate 2 possible scenarios. They may be either conference attendees or conference organizers, or of course they can be both. During the early discussions, they realized that there are pre, during and post arrangements to be made, depending on whether a person is a conference attendee or conference organizer. So what should they do as attendees? I'm sure you can think about many tasks to be performed because you are experienced conference attendees. So this is what our students suggested. So what should be done before attending conference? And now conference roles from the perspective of organizers. So again, what our students find important to arrange. So, in our project, students are expected to be both conference attendees and conference organizers, and they are also expected to combine autonomy and collaboration when completing the individual tasks. So they work autonomously on preparing their conference presentations, abstracts, and bio notes. We discussed some more theoretical principles of writing abstracts and bio notes, but this is not a completely new concept for the students. The most challenging or difficult problem they face is how to prepare subject-specific presentations that are understandable to all the students in the group. It is especially difficult when they decide to present the topic of their bachelor's or master's thesis, which is otherwise desirable because then their talk is authentic and original. However, they have to learn how to simplify and abridge their presentations. At the same time, they collaborate on activities related to conference organization. So it means they prepare a call for papers, then conference program and a book of abstracts. A call for papers should be authentic, therefore the students search the internet to find examples of calls for papers relevant for their fields, just to see which part should be included. When compiling a call for papers, conference program and a book of abstracts, they use online platforms or documents which all of them can access and edit. Students like this activity and are quite creative when thinking about an attractive conference name or defining its objectives. We also appoint students who give opening and closing speeches and section chairs who introduce speakers and organize discussions for individual papers. Opening and closing speech and chairing should be prepared and rehearsed by all the students in the group because we believe this is a useful activity for them, because they are alerted to the context dependence of language as some theoreticians defined it. Alan Bell, for example, argues that no language occurs isolated from its users, their purposes, setting, and conventions of social communities. Therefore, proficient language users should be able to adapt their speech or writing to specific situations. And to practice that, our students prepare opening and closing speeches for various situations, as you can see in A and B. So A would be something quite close to what they experienced during our conference simulation, because of course they know their peers and the groups are not that big. But we also train a more formal occasion, such as in B, the plenary session with the audience of 200 academics, so something resembling this conference. Students acting as section chairs should introduce the speakers, invite the audience to ask questions, and also lead the discussion. First, they compare recorded examples of section chairs welcoming their audience and decide which phrases to use. We concentrate not only on language aspects of the task, such as practicing direct or indirect questions, but also remind the students of the kind of psychological relevance of the role, because by a sensitive introduction of speakers, they can encourage them and partly relieve their anxiety. Now I would like to mention feedback from students, what they like about the project. They mention authenticity and practicality because it is something they will need in their future careers. They also appreciate the collaborative nature of the course because they understand that in the future they will often develop projects based on teamwork, collaboration and interdisciplinarity. Some students also like working with online tools, platforms and documents because they find it interesting and helpful. And we've got one example of that, which Dana is going to explain.
This is an example from my course where I used Google Slides to make a website for this conference simulation. So the students prepared this web page with invitation, program section, abstracts, bio notes, all the information was displayed here, so it's a nice representation of the students where this is just the first part of it, where they have this invitation, they invented Geographic Students Conference 2020, GeosCon, and then all of their work is displayed here.
Okay, so thank you, Dani. So finally, I'd like to mention some drawbacks or problems related to the project. Careful planning and time management is necessary. Students have to observe deadlines because the individual tasks are connected and logically organized, sequenced, and have to be performed at specific times. Also, it is teamwork, and not all the students are team players, so they have to learn how to cooperate effectively and how to adjust to the needs of the whole group. So in conclusion, I would say that our main goal is to provide our students with useful strategies for their future careers and solving real-life problems. At the undergraduate level, we concentrate on practicing effective presentation skills through tasks such as poster presentation, which we later, at the postgraduate level, integrate into a more complex project of conference simulations. So that's all from us. Thank you for your attention. These are our references. If you've got questions or if you do a similar project, we would like to hear from you.
Okay, thank you both. I hope I've been doing a good enough job being chair. If not, I'll take a course. Yeah? Okay, so now the floor is open for discussion. Please.
Hi, my name is Masaryk from the Czoupková University. In our English lesson, we also use posters, and we deal with a couple of problems which we would like to hear from you. Okay. One thing is how to approach the topic choice or assignment. Do students choose on their own, or do you assign topics for the posters? Second thing, how do you monitor or control, but I don't like the term control, but how do you actually deal with the potential problem of plagiarism? Because I would say like on a semester basis, like we have 1 or 2 cases of students who copy everything from the internet. So these are the two, topic choice and plagiarism prevention. How do you approach that?
Okay, so maybe I'll take the question, thank you. We have there this mini lesson on how to work with sources, so there is some information and we teach students not to plagiarize, that they have to process the information and formulate it in their new original way. If they want to quote or use some ideas, they need to acknowledge the sources. So
do they respect it?
They learn. So then they got the feedback in the end from the teacher, and sometimes it does happen that there is this case of plagiarizing. So they have some comment from the teacher in the feedback about that. So we try to deal with this. So that's why there is this session about working with sources. They try to respect that. And then the other part of the question, how to work, how to choose assign the topics. So at the beginning of the course, I made the plan that next week we are going to talk about that, which topic you chose, and so on. So I do not assign the topics, I will leave it up to the students, but then we talk about it, and they also hear what the other students in the group think about that. Is it good topic, so that they can compare, and they sometimes come and say we will change the topic because we found a better one. So there's kind of monitoring. So I plan and have discussions about that in the whole group. It's not, I don't want to be the authority who says, here is your topic, do something about that.
Yeah, that's not really the same.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's another question, yes.
So, my name is this class, I'm from the same university teaching the same stuff. So, among the skills you teach the students, I was missing one which is quite challenging, and this is the role of the moderator. At the end of the session, sometimes the person who is moderating, so introducing the speakers, so preparing the stage for them, is asked to summarize all the overall sessions, let's say 3-4 speeches together. So, and it is challenging, even for the person who is experienced. So, for the PhD students, for example, I think it's also very important and useful skill. So, do you have anything included into your course?
Well, for conference simulations, actually, no, we've got a closing speech, but it is more like thanking the presenters for their presentations, but not really summarizing the whole section.
Very complicated to find the connections, so just to find the main ideas, to pay attention, all that stuff. So,
This kind of project is for master students, not PhD, so maybe we didn't think about that, but on a higher level, of course, that would be important, as you say, challenging thing.
But I have to say, in order to do that properly, the moderator would require a lot of sufficient content knowledge of the theme. Otherwise, we would be able to do that.
it's really challenging for the experienced person.
I'm from Mathematics and Physics faculty at Charles University, and I teach similar things. For example, the choice of topic is a big problem for me, because in my courses usually I have master and postdoctorate students, and of course they are on different levels of knowledge of their subject, and so they usually use the topic, but they are students of mathematics, physics and computer science, so I'm used to the situation that I don't understand what they speak about, other students don't understand what they speak about, and I was very, how to say that, it was interesting for me to hear that you try to ask them to simplify their topics, because our students are absolutely not interested in it. They wouldn't participate in the course if I asked them to simplify their topics, because they are very concentrated on research on this level. But I think that there is no problem, because usually, of course, everything depends on the number of students in the course. And we don't have capacity at the department to organize separate courses for master students and graduate students. But somehow, naturally, they divide into 3 groups. So usually when there is the paper or presentation on physics, there are 2 or 3 students who are able to participate in the discussion. And this way, in fact, they help other students to understand the topic. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. We deal with the same trouble.
Yeah, of course.
I believe we have time for one more question, a very short one. Any questions or comments at all? Yes. Okay.
from the same packages of that. Just one question. It happened to me. I was trying to do something about presenting along those lines. We had to convert that into a virtual conference format. So I was just wondering if that happened to you as well throughout the coronavirus thing. What was your experience? Because in my case, students were recording the presentations, and some of them didn't like it at all. They found the format very unpleasant, and they had also technical difficulties in recording the presentation with audio and with visuals. So, do you have any experience with the virtual format of this?
Yeah, thank you for the question. You are right, because we tried to do the same during the spring term. And we didn't use pre-recorded presentations, but it was really online. We used MS Teams. But yeah, the same experience. So there were a lot of technical difficulties, so it was not perfect. So I would say it's much better in class. And also students interact better when it's face-to-face, definitely.
So have you had any positive experience? I mean, some kind of recommendation, something that worked about this that you found was a good practice in relation to this online?
I found out that they needed more practice before. Some of them were used on their courses to show presentations online, and these students were quite comfortable. Some of them find it easier than talking face-to-face to people.
Yes, we had an opposite problem, because there was a possibility to have a group of 6 people, so we did it in person. But some of the more shyer students, they didn't want to, because they liked it, and we actually dealt with the problem anytime they presented online. They had it written, and they read it. So, yeah, it was recognizable, but they did not admit, but they read it. Those students who are never fluent were never fluent. We found the opposite problem.
Yeah, okay. I was very glad to see a very interesting discussion going on, but our time's really up, so you're free to continue the discussion for lunch. Okay, so let's thank the speaker.